Hello, my name is Samantha and I'm an accredited practicing dietitian working for IPC Health. IPC Health is a community health organisation based in the western suburbs of Melbourne. We have campuses at St Albans, Sunshine, Deer Park, Altona Meadows, Hoppers Crossing and Wyndham Vale. If you'd like to find out any more information about our organisation, you can visit our website on www.ipchealth.com.au or contact our Deer Park head office on 9219 7142. So today we're going to talk about fussy eating. Fussy eating is something that we see in clinic all the time and it's quite common. Fussy eating, it presents with some children not liking the taste, the texture or the shape of particular foods, and it's quite normal for children though to eat one food one day, maybe not the other, maybe eating a bit more food one day and maybe not the other. Fussy eating is quite a normal part of children's development and it can be a way of children trying to sort of gather back a bit of their independence. It can also happen because of appetite changes. Children's growth does start to slow down into the second year of life, and it can also vary based on how active they are. Children can often use food and meal times as a way to test boundaries and to see what sort of behaviour is acceptable in the home. However, we can do something about it. Some of the tips and tricks that we usually speak to parents about in our clinic when children are coming to us with fussy eating are things like making sure meals are fun and relaxed. We know that it's really stressful and frustrating when your child doesn't eat what you want them to eat, but this can just increase the anxiety in the child. So yeah, trying to stay calm as much as possible. Another point that we talk about quite often is trying to not worry as much about the mess that might come with food. Mess, eating food with hands, smothering food on faces are all real times of exploration and learning for children around meal times. Some of the tips are things like maybe trying something like a messy mat underneath where the child sits. Much easier just to pick up the mat, shake it out, maybe outside where the dog is, or maybe straight into the bin. Sometimes it's a lot easier to clean than the floor. And another thing that some of our parents use as well are these little bibs that have got a great little pouch at the bottom to catch a lot of the food and it doesn't end up all on the floor as much. Another tip that we talk about is trying to not force feeding children to eat. If the child is finished with their food, we recommend just picking up that plate or removing that food from in front of them, not making a big deal about what they have or haven't eaten, and just stating something like, okay, that's fine, you mustn't be hungry at the moment, we'll try it again later when you're hungry. Being quite matter of fact can help instead of making it quite a stressful, negative time. Making food fun, so that's another tip. Things like funny faces on pizza, maybe cutting sandwiches into different shapes or different colours can help to keep food interesting and exciting. We know that children love routine, so trying to stick to a sort of regular meal routine at similar times during the day, whether the lead up to that meal time or that mid-meal time is consistent as well. So maybe there's a 5-minute warning to pick up the toys, the hands are washed and then everyone sits in either their high chair or their seat. Trying to stick to those sort of 3 meals and 2 or 3 mid-meal snack times as well is quite important, because we know that grazing throughout the day will definitely reduce the amount of food eaten at those meal times. And evidence also shows that grazing throughout the day results in less food being eaten over the whole day. So it is better to try and stick to those regular meal times. Trying to limit and eliminate distractions at those meal times. So we do recommend things like the phones, the iPads are off, TVs are off, books are putting away, and trying to have those nice family meals where that's practical, or if everyone's sort of at the household at that time can sit down together and have a really nice, calm, enjoyable mealtime together. Another tip is trying to always offer some healthy foods at those meal options and being a good role model yourself, whether it's the parent, the caregiver, whoever's there during that mealtime. When children see us eating nutritious, nourishing food and modelling that behaviour of what's appropriate at mealtimes, they're more likely to follow suit. Some children particularly really use food at mealtimes to assert their independence. So sometimes we do also suggest maybe at those meals or those mid-meals offering 2 or 3 options. So it might be 2 different types of fruit. Would you like an apple or a banana, Johnny, for afternoon tea? So that he can pick and he's got some control and independence over that food choice. Another fun tip is getting your child or children involved in that food preparation, whether it's washing the veggies, safely cutting the vegetables under supervision, or some light stirring of whatever particular food you're doing, can help them to feel involved and make it a bit of fun. And another big tip that often tends to happen with parents or caregivers are quite frustrated about the fussy eating is we do try and recommend trying to limit the attention placed on that fussy eating behaviour, because sometimes that behaviour around the food and those meal times has nothing to do with the actual food itself, but more around the reaction that it's getting from you. So another thing that we often get asked is, how do I introduce new foods to my fussy eater who maybe will only eat apple, doesn't particularly like any of the other fruits? As an example, we know that children can take 10 to 15 exposures of new foods before they will accept them. So we do say keep offering those new foods as much as we can, and they need to regularly see and be exposed to that new food, often before it will be accepted. And this could be putting a bit of that new food with accepted foods, so maybe a bit of carrot with the already accepted mashed potato and the chicken schnitzel for dinner, without any forcing to eat, but they could maybe be encouraged to touch that food in a safe manner. Like we talked about before, so try not to allow children to graze throughout the day and fill up on fluids like milk or soft drink, fruit juice in between meals will definitely reduce their appetite at those meal and snack times. Where possible, we know that children eat better with other children or other role models. So if there are opportunities for children to share meals or mid-meals with other children, that can always really help children that are experiencing some fussy eating, whether that's childcare or whether more so after a lot of the shutdowns we're experiencing now, but if that's at a child group or socially with some friends. We try not to punish children that don't eat a particular food that we want them to, or reward children for eating foods. What this sort of does is associates and puts little negative connections onto those foods that we want them to eat, and then they're less likely to want to try it. Overall, we know that most children, if they're well, if they're active, they're growing and they're thriving, that they are likely getting enough to eat. If your children is losing food, eating less than 20 foods, or you're just really concerned about their nutrition, you can always speak to your GP, speak to your maternal child health nurse, or ask to see a dietitian at any of our IPC Health campuses. Thank you very much for listening. Have a nice day.